Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Cass, and this is Johnny and
That's
Maple. Today's video, we had girls ask Johnny questions on his Instagram story, things that girls are too afraid to ask guys, like their guy best friend, boyfriend, literally whoever, just guys in general.
And that's why I'm here. So,
Johnny's gonna answer the questions for you and hopefully give you an answer for them.
Let's do this.
Okay, first question is, how do you think about periods and girl products?
I grew up with a sister and a mom, so I was very much, I grew up around that, so it doesn't weird me out at all. God made you that way, so if you think it's gross, as a guy, you kind of need to grow up, honestly. I mean,
no, I agree.
You poop, I poop. If we thought, pooping was gross, then, that's how God made us. So why would I think...
weird in even middle school and high school. I had guy friends in my friend group, and whenever I had a pad or something or mentioned a period, they would act so weird, and I was like that's so weird.
If you're grossed out by periods, just grow up, honestly. You're not ready for a relationship at that point. And that means that they're able to give you a baby. So grow up.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Go buy them pads, go buy them tampons if they need it. Grow up.
Next question is, I like my brother's best friend and he likes me, but my brother does not support. Help.
It's a little bit juicy. At first, I would have a conversation with your brother to see the reason why that he doesn't approve. Because if it's for a reason of maybe character issues, because he knows his friend the best, he knows his friend better than you. If it's a character issue about his friend and he's trying to protect you, then that's a pretty valid, excuse to not date someone. But if it's more he just doesn't want you to do it, because he doesn't want to lose his relationship with that person or whatever, I would just at that point go talk to his friend and then kind of settle it down with you guys. Be you know what, how much do you actually like me? How much do we really think we could be something? Because you don't want to just date someone if it's your brother's best friend and then it not work out. So if you want to actually date, you probably should make sure it's pretty serious, or you think it could be pretty serious if you want to risk that relationship being lost.
Yeah, I agree. This is a good question. It says, how to ask a boy you're interested in if he'll wait till marriage with/for you. Great
question. First, I'm just going to start off by saying, if you're a Christian woman and a man's not willing to wait for you, then that's not your man. And that's on period.
Yeah.
That's not your man. That's not who you're supposed to be with. Even if that's not something that he always grew up thinking that he was going to do, if he's not at the point in his relationship with God, or your relationship that he's willing to do that for you or willing to do that for God, he's not at a place where he should be the spiritual head of your house. So basically that's what I would say first, is if they're not willing to do it at all, that's not your man. And second, I would just kind of bring it up is the fact of I think before every relationship, or at least during a beginning part of a relationship, you need to have that conversation of what your past has been before, kind of maybe your dating history, sexual history, just kind of things that you need to get out there in the open. That way you know about each other. That way if there is something that's could be a deal breaker necessarily, it doesn't happen 6 months, 8 months into a relationship where then it gets all weird.
Yeah.
You get stuff out before you really even start going down that road. That way if something is something that's you know what, that's something I needed to know about you, maybe that kind of changes how I feel about things, you know that during that conversation, this is what I've done before, this maybe is what you've done before, wipe the slate clean. This is how I want to approach this relationship, and if you're not willing to do that with me, then it's just not going to work out. And he needs to do it not necessarily just for you, but for God as well, because that's what he calls us to do. So
we'd only been talking or texting for not very long, and I was sorry if this isn't what you want.
No, yeah, I remember that conversation vividly.
Yeah, but I was I'm actually saving myself for marriage. I just brought it up we were just texting.
That was honestly before we even were very seriously talking. It was pretty early on. She was just not to weird you out at all. Yeah, I knew that he was someone I could see a future with, and so I wasn't trying to hide that, and I don't know, so I was just trying to be super upfront, and I was but that honestly made me so much more attracted to her, and thinking that it actually could go somewhere. And it's not that I would have never married a non-virgin, because obviously everyone's forgiven in the eyes of God, and it just depends on it'd be a relationship to relationship thing. But yeah, obviously I hoped that my future wife would have saved herself too. So
when is it a good time to DTR with guys? I don't want to be annoying, LOL. I didn't know what DTR meant, so I had to look it up, and it means define the relationship.
Okay, so
when is it a good time?
When is it a good time? I would try to define the relationship with a guy. First of all, never feel bad about trying to define the relationship, because communication is the key to relationships. So don't ever feel bad about doing that. I would do that first. Just enjoy like the talking stage with someone. Don't try to push it too early, because honestly, you don't want to, like, once you put a title boyfriend girlfriend on something, like, that's like serious, so you don't necessarily want to do that with every boy you talk to. Once you start to feel those feelings where it's like, if we stopped right now, like talking or whatever, I could be okay, but anything past this, I might start to like kind of feel it and be like brokenhearted. That's when I would make sure that you like start to define the relationship, because you want to protect your heart at the end of it. So if you're at a point where you're like, if I keep going further with this person and we don't end up dating, I'm gonna, like, it's gonna hurt bad. Define the relationship then, because at that point, if it's not gonna be a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, break it off. Easy come, easy go, you're fine. But like, once you know that you're starting to really feel that, I would define it that way. It's not you're going too far past where you really start to like someone a lot and then it ends up not working out and you're hurt. So you just want to protect your heart.
What does it mean if they act like they like you and then stop?
Like stop.
I think they just stop
talking,
liking you, or
stop talking. Okay, I would say there's a few different reasons for this. Some of them are good, most of them are bad. First would be they never really liked you. Sorry, honey. And they wanted something from you, and then they got it from you, and then now they don't need to like you anymore or pretend to. Two would be they probably didn't like you, was trying to get something from you. You didn't give it to them. Good for you, sweetie. And then they didn't need to try to pretend to like you anymore. Third would be that they did like you originally, and maybe just the more they talked, just kind of realized that probably wasn't the relationship they wanted, and then they didn't necessarily like you anymore, which is like, you know, that's just relationships. You're not meant to be with everyone. And then the last reason would probably be that they did like you, and they could see a future and maybe didn't want a relationship at that point, or was like worried about like commitment. So then they kind of pulled themselves away before they started feeling stronger feelings. So I would say those are like, what was that, four? Yeah, four main reasons why that probably happened.
What do Christian guys look for in a girl?
Well, I would say it would be, every guy's different. Like, it just kind of depends the kind of Christian guy you are, as far as like what you're into and your different hobbies and stuff. Like, honestly, like I wouldn't want like something that someone else might want, just depending on like the kind of life they live. But as far as like, if like a Christian qualities, every Christian man should want someone who at the end of the day like loves Jesus, and not just like Jesus as a whole, but actually like who Jesus is, and actually understands like what he did for us and on the cross, like is actually like biblically literate. Because it's like there's a lot of people out there who are like Christians but don't really know much about scripture or just really how Christianity works. And that is kind of like a turn on when a girl's like when she knows her stuff, like, oh, she knows, you know. So that's like, I think that's something that guys should look for. Basically motherly qualities, because you want your Christian like woman to end up being like the mom of your kids someday. So you want her to be able to have those qualities where you know she can take care of the house. I would say like compassion is another thing, because like guys, we're supposed to go out, don't like get in the comments freaked out, but like guys are supposed to be the ones going out and providing and then coming back during the day, usually in a Christian household. Not all the time, but usually guy goes out, brings the bread home, woman cooks bread, feeds the kids. It's just how it works. Like, don't get all, it's just how it works. But like, it's hard to do that sometimes. So coming back to a woman with compassion, who she's like always there for you and like loving, like that's something like guys want, you know, like just like a really kind person that has a heart for Jesus, has a heart for others, have a heart for children. Like past that, it's just person to person, I would say. I
had a list of things I was looking for in a husband, and I
hit every single one.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not so much like the little things. Like, people can have a preference on them, but it doesn't really, like, it's not a make or break, you know. Like, I personally don't love when guys are super tall, but like if Johnny was 6'2", I wasn't gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm not talking to you.
5'10",
you know?
I'm average.
I'm just saying though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, don't, like, you're making it sound like I'm short. I'm not.
No,
sure.
but that's just like preference when it comes down to it.
And I would have preferred to not marry a sorority girl, but yeah, here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
So I think as long as they have a heart for Jesus, then anything, I mean not anything, but most things after that, it's just your preference.
Love Jesus, love others. Those are the main two things.
Is it a red flag if a guy hides his Snap/phone from his girlfriend?
Yes, unless it's for a certain reason, which is like a quick amount of time. Like, let's say you're planning, like when I was planning your engagement, I told you like, don't proposal, don't look at my phone for like a little bit, or like if it's like a present, like that kind of thing, like surprise party, if it's over a long period of time and they're hiding your Snapchat or your phone, like there ain't nothing good in there. So you just.
I always think it's super weird too. This doesn't happen, but just like for example, if I was like gonna go grab his phone and he was like, or I don't know, or like.
Well, we're like both
Yeah.
have access to each other's phones, but we don't like feel the need. We don't like go through it because it's like we obviously trust each other, but we're not hiding.
But I always
anything
think
at
it's
the
weird when people are like
same
so
time.
weird about their. I'm like, it's just your phone. Like, what's on there that you're so weird about?
Right, like you see a couple, they're like, "Can I see this photo from your phone?" You're like, "What are you looking for?" Like, just give them your phone.
Yeah.
Like,
so weird.
if I was in a relationship where it wasn't that open, it would just be like toxic. Honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, like,
I
it's
think
a red
it's a
flag.
huge red flag. But I know this video wasn't my opinion. It was like a guy's opinion, but whatever.
My opinion is red flag.
When in a relationship, do you notice and like other attractive females?
Okay, so we've had this conversation before. You still can admit that someone's decent looking, but it's in a different way than when it was before. Like before, if you saw someone like when you were single, you're like, oh, I can like I like them, like they're hot or like whatever. I could see them being like in a relationship with them or whatever. But like I guess now it'd be like if you were like, oh, isn't that girl pretty? I could be like, oh yeah, like I could see them being pretty for somebody else. Like it's not I don't see them and I'm like, oh yeah, like I think she's hot. Like it doesn't do anything for me. Like I feel like once you're like really in love with somebody, you just don't see other people in that way. Like I guess I compare it to like Maple's the cutest thing in the world. I have no feelings for Maple. You know what I'm saying? Like I could see someone else and you could be like, aren't they cute? I'd be like, yeah, for somebody else, it doesn't do anything for me.
Just another example is if my friends send me a picture, they're like, should I go on a date with this guy? I'm not like, oh my gosh, yes, he's so hot, you should go, you know?
Right.
But I would be like, oh, I could see you guys together, like, sure.
If you're really in love with someone, you truly don't see other people in that way. And I believe that. But like, at the same time, you can still admit that someone's like, I'm not gonna expect that she doesn't think any other guy is a decent looking person. There's a reason. There's a difference between thinking they're decent looking and like being attracted to them.
Like being in a relationship doesn't make you blind.
No.
But you're also
but you're not
like
you're not attracted to them.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not like Maple's cute. I'm not attracted to Maple. That's the best way I can think of it.
Yeah.
She's sleeping. Look at me.
Maple fell asleep.
I bored her to sleep with my answers.
Should girls make the first move, or what is the best way for girls to show a guy she's interested?
So this is tricky because it's like, I believe that guys should pursue, but at the same time, I would, for a large part of my life, was not the pursuer. Not that I was like the pursued. I wasn't anything. But it's hard for some guys just to like do that. So I wouldn't say that girls should never make the first move. I just be careful of how often you're doing it and how to do it. I wouldn't be so aggressive. I would just kind of, if you really do like someone, like let's say you have a friend that you really like, but you don't know if they like you, just kind of find ways to hang out with them more, like one-on-one, whether that's like studying or grab a coffee or something. And maybe if those continue and it's going really well and you really do start to develop feelings for that person, just kind of ask them, be like, hey, I'm starting to feel these things. It doesn't have to be weird. Just be like, we're friends. I love our friendship. I'm starting to feel these things.
Just be like, what's going on?
Is there anything that you feel like that as well? If it's not perfect, we can bury it. I'm fine. We can be friends again. But if that's something that you feel too, maybe we can start seeing if that could go somewhere. That would be the kind of first move I would suggest for a girl, not to just be like, hey, like let's go out sometime. Mm-hmm. As a guy, I might be like, depending on how the relationship is, like how close you are with that person, it may like make me back up a little bit, especially if the guy's a little hesitant. If the guy's a little shy, give him a little nudge, but don't push him off the deep end. That's what I'd say.
The very last question says, how much do you guys care about looks versus personality?
Looks versus personality. Okay, so looks do care. If you say looks don't care, you might not be the best looking person. I'm sorry. Okay, restart. I think looks is what makes you to like someone. Personality is what makes you love someone. Yeah, so I think when I first saw you on my For You page, that girl is a smoke show. I like her.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna start talking to her. We start talking, I figure out your personality, I fall in love with you. So you're not always gonna have those looks. I'm not always gonna have these looks. We are always gonna have these personalities, and that's why we're in love with each other, and that's why we'll always be together. So looks are important, but they do fade, and that's obvious. Like everyone, like it fades, but if you're in love with their personality and who they are as a person, like that love's not gonna fade, because that's personality is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Looks just help. Like look at this. Like that's mine.
Thanks.
Mine.
I think though you have to be physically attracted to someone,
completely. Or it's just not gonna work, because it's like
when you're married and you're doing things.
Yeah,
like
God's designed marriage to be like
if you didn't.
sexually intimate. That way you grow closer to each other, and if you're not attracted to someone, you're not going to want to be sexually intimate with them. So that's just like part of it. But at the same time, if someone's like the hottest person on earth, but they're literally a cardboard box of a personality, like, yeah, you may want to do stuff with them, but what's the conversation gonna look like afterwards? It's gonna be nothing, and then the relationship is just empty. So like, looks do matter. Try your best to like work out, take care of yourself. Like, God calls us to take care of yourself. It's not even just for guys. Like, don't take care of yourself just to please guys. Don't wear certain things just to please guys. God calls us to take care of our body. So work out, eat well, drink water, take care of yourself, do skincare. Guys do care about that stuff, but at the same time, like, work on who you are as a person, and that's a lot more important. And your heart. Yeah. So that's all the questions. I hope I helped some people. I hope this video helps somebody. I want to help people.
We could do too. We can do like the reverse, like guy questions.
Yeah, if you want to have the reverse.
See that, I can answer some girl questions
can answer
that you don't want to ask your girlfriends, or
if you want to do like a more juicy one, maybe later in time, once we're like married and stuff, we can do that too. Yeah, we could do that too. Get a little more juicy. Just let us know in the comments. Hopefully this video helped you, but we love you, and we'll see you in the next video. Mabel's sleepy. Bye guys.